All right, very soon the crew and I will be flying to southeastern Colorado. I think the thing that we want to show you is that there were people in the Americas long before Columbus. I think that with the documentaries that we have submitted to this subject, to this thought, along with the work of many dedicated people, that sooner or later the so-called academic community is going to have to recognize the fact, they're going to have to wake up and smell the roses, that Columbus did not discover America. America was discovered in ancient years basically by everything from Egyptians to North Africans, as well as North Arabian. We will be showing you all these various languages that were found when we go into Colorado to study, to seek. And I must say, there is a group in Colorado that systematically evaluates many things. You'll be meeting some of them, and certainly they're doing one of the most scientific explorations of the head of the Arkansas and the Cimarron, as well as other tributaries, both archaeologically and epigraphically, pictographically, various signs all being logged as they are found in eastern Colorado. I know you're going to look forward to it. I want you to see on a map approximately where we're going to be flying to, if I may, but I want to show you also the United States. You know where Newfoundland sits. We know that the ruin stones that were found at Heavener, Oklahoma, that it's no big mystery that people would come along this coast, down around Florida, into the Gulf of Mexico. And of course, here was the super expressway of the day, was the mighty Mississippi River. But we come up the Mississippi River, and we go across the Arkansas, taking the Arkansas back up through Oklahoma, back up through Kansas, and then she makes a bend and heads straight for the mesas of Colorado. And La Junta and Los Animas is where we will be flying to very shortly now to show you the works done along the Arkansas. It is amazing that some of the works you will find all down the Arkansas, where people have traveled and communicated. I'm still working very hard on deciphering some of the most common of alphabets, and I'm going to call it an alphabet. I'm convinced now that it is. The thing is the language that goes with it. Sooner or later, we'll make a big discovery and in deciphering, and I look forward to that and continue working on it, whether we ever solve it or not. But the main flow is this. Think pre-Columbian, which is to say before Columbus, rather, discovered America. There were scientific tests done in the area we're about to go to that carbon dates, as well as other methods used, some of the materials we'll be looking at to 3,000 years old. Now you got to remember, that's way back in David's time, let's say, long before Christ walked the earth. I believe that there is so much more research to be done in the Americas. So we're going to get the crew loaded up, and we're going out to eastern Colorado to work with some of our favorite people, and just sit back and know this. Regardless of the fact that we are able to interpret all the Ogham we will be finding from the Celts, the Anglo-Saxon writings, as well as we will be seeing alignments with the sun on works done, yes, 3,000 years ago. It is amazing that some people can only picture man as a caveman when there was much intelligence, even at that time. Sometimes I wonder the way man lives if we haven't digressed as far as morals and living as civilized human beings goes. But nevertheless, off we go to eastern Colorado. I hope you're going to enjoy this documentary.
All right, here we are in beautiful southeastern Colorado. My, what a precious view. You know, our Father, when He creates something, even with the erosion of time, the years gone by, even it picks up a pattern, makes a display. Oh, what a nation we have to be proud of. This great nation, America. And we talk about the travelers that have traveled through these areas. Who were they? Well, no one is really sure, and if we were to say we know exactly who they were, they being the people that reached from the Pacific to the Atlantic, that traveled the rivers of the nation. But I think you're going to find here in southeastern Colorado some of the most interesting letters, shall we call them letters, drawings, messages? Well, I have no doubt in my own mind that they are messages, and I have a lot of doubt as to whether we'll ever really understand all of them. But the fact that they are there and you are here, I want you to enjoy this documentary in southeastern Colorado. I'm going to introduce someone to you here in a moment, and I want him to tell you about the drawings here at my back at this time. Welcome, welcome again to southeastern Colorado. All right, it gives me great pleasure to present to you Ted Barker. Ted Barker, and you know, Ted, you grew up here in this particular area,
yes,
didn't you?
Spent my lifetime here.
Lifetime here, and it's home. And I'm sure I'd like to have some of your first thoughts as a young lad when you begin to see some of these beautiful things here on these cliffs and in this particular area.
Well, my thoughts have changed a lot since I was a youngster. The people who lived here then gave this a name of old Indian stuff. But since then we've learned that it certainly isn't just old Indian stuff. It is messages left on the rocks throughout the ages. This particular site has in fact been dated to be about 1850 years old. And this a pretty scientific method of dating and closed on that number of years.
Well, I certainly find that fascinating. I want you just to take the microphone, if you will, Ted, and tell us a little bit about this these graphics here behind us.
This, as you can see, is a small overhang or shallow cave, if you will, and where Arnold and I are standing is on a bluff, more or less, that didn't go all the way to the top. Well, in my lifetime, about 2/3 of it has weathered away, and it's quite easy to climb up here now. But when the people were here, they had to use a ladder to get up to this place. And I'll point to a little drawing they made of this particular place. This little recess represents the place where I'm standing, and the ladder was the means of approaching this. Now, this has so very much on it that we call this particular area graffiti. You know, it has been written on and covered until it is almost impossible to get a meaning out of it. There are some beautiful pictures on it. This is very similar to what various ancient tribes in the Mediterranean area called the sun, and it faces the sun. It is the rising sun. Here is a figure that has several meanings. It is quite similar to what the Egyptians and some other ancient people referred to as a soul in ascension. I'm not a real student on this, so that's just something that I have read and been told. Right again it, in fact, is something that appears to be a death's head, possibly some connection.
You're going to be showing North Arabian signs as we continue in this expedition. But even here on these stones where we have an Ogham almanac or calendar, I want you to see a very strong Egyptian drawing as we have frozen this, and through the magic of television, this is the way you outline a picture without ever touching it. If you will, I want you to see the Egyptian face. Now we're going to fade that and hold your, actually the drawing in the stone is far more perfect. Let's bring back up the outline again. Here you see the outline, let's fade it slowly. And we see the Egyptian face. Notice even the jewel at the top of the forehead there and the headdress that actually holds the headdress together, showing royalty of some pharaoh or high officer in the Pharaoh's army. Let's bring back in the outline one more time slowly. There you can fix your mind to this. The way Mike is drawing this, I just stated it looks a little bit feminine there, but actually in the stone itself we see masculine. Let's let it fade just slowly so that you see. Through the magic of television, we see outlining whereby a person can visualize this figure on the stone. Very Egyptian. So this, I have no doubt, explains why you're going to see quite a few North Arabian letters in and on this expedition as we look at these various things. I think this is one of the things that fascinates me about this area, is that you see cultures not only from one part of the world. You have the Celts from northern Europe, you have the Egyptian from the Mediterranean area, and with this headdress, I am sure that with the headdress and the markings on it, if we knew more about the clans and families of Hagar and Ishmael back at this time, we would probably be able to tell more.
You know, it's amazing how that deterioration through age. You will notice these larger stones here, and I even see writings on the stone laying here, and you can see the breakaway. There are writings here. This is understandable in these treasures that we have in America. But then when I look on this wall here, and I won't read the man's, but there's FL and EH and JA and FD and old JB were even here. You know something, JB and EH and FL, we really don't care whether you were here or not. And it defaces the ancient writings, or writings that are all ages, that it makes it very difficult for we, the American public, to see and enjoy and to understand the precious writings that were placed here long ago. And I really want you to think about that when you're out in this America looking around, that you preserve, take care of our nation. Hey, man pollutes everything he touches. Nature, it's going to happen. We're going to lose parts, but let's don't do it by someone feeling they have to stencil their own initials or what have you into these precious, precious writings. So please, think, use your head, and behave yourself when you're in our America and in our mountains.
We are just around the corner from the little cave we were in, and this is the most important and well-known part of this site. This petroglyph is an example of the Ogham alphabet in Celtic language. This is the largest one so far found and translated in the United States and perhaps in the entire world. This is called the calendar or calendar Ogham. It depicts practically every date of the year and the planting dates and fall and all right with it. A little bit in front of the big Ogham, and you can see the ones behind me. These are very good Ogham-like characters. Some translation has been done and was considered to be very good. The dating at this site was a chemical carbon dating method, and is said to be very, very accurate by all judgments at this time.
It would seem that the Celts, or the Anglo-Saxons, whichever you wish to call them, that traveled this area, were quite conscious of time, harvest, the planets, the sun, the moon. So I do not find it strange at all that here is an almanac or a calendar. Our people, when they travel these distances, you must always remember that time and speed equals distance. So this was, if you would, also a map in the sense of navigation or travel. And the seasons became even more important as people traveled distances, because there didn't happen to be a little Motel 59 or a Motel I-40 or whatever. As they traveled along the way down the old Arkansas, they had to brave the elements. So needless to say, they became very conscious of time, and they had reminders, which is to say Mother Nature herself, to let them know which season to travel therein.
Again, we are at some ancient writing that is very, very close to Ogham as we know it in southeastern Colorado. This starts with a figure that we have found in Ireland that signifies to start reading Ogham. This particular Ogham, by our translation, reads M-D-N-N, which could be translated to mean morning or possibly morning star. Now this inscription continued across this blank place and finished up there. But erosion has let it come loose and break and roll down the hillside. Some years ago we found 3 pieces and fitted them up there, but there was still a missing piece and we could not translate it. Now I have preserved one piece and will hold it up the way we did the 3, and it just shows you that we could fit it together like a jigsaw puzzle. You can see that the strikes came right on through that rock. And we did have 2 more pieces, and put them back in a little bench here to preserve them, and they disappeared. Well, if you should come again and look for this piece I'm holding, come to my house. It's safe in my desk drawer.
I cannot help but insert here, Morning Star in eastern Colorado. Isn't it strange that it would seem like that the erosion of time has dropped the rest of the message, and being a Bible scholar, certainly Morning Star has a dual meaning, as you all know. It could be of Baal worshipers, or it could be even of those that were students of our Father's prophecy concerning the appearance of the true morning star. But 3,000 years ago, even to the Bible scholar, the manuscripts of Isaiah 14, Lucifer, also son of the morning or morning star. But it would be quite interesting to have seen the remainder of the sentence that the erosion of time has taken the rest of the sentence away. But don't miss this fact. In morning star, in what? Ogham. The language of the Celts from Ireland itself, and as much as the signature of Ireland began reading at this point, the little cross you see there at the very head of the line. Morning star, how fascinating. I cannot help but hesitate a moment and think on these things and cause you to think on those things. The people that migrated the great Arkansas River up through Arkansas, up into Oklahoma, Kansas, and all the way here into La Junta and Los Animas, Colorado. Right at the foothills, Ogham, 3,000 years old. Carbon dated, a guess? No, carbon date. Carbon dated whereby we know of what we speak. I think it's fascinating that our Father's Word, plus the great stones themselves throughout the nation, as they document the travels of peoples of the world.
I want to start by complimenting the people that have worked this site, that have spent hours, and we could even say years, in deciphering this particular site. It's an extraordinary site in as much as there's kind of a double documentation to it, and that is this fact, that the Ogham found here points to, as Ted's going to be explaining to you, and certainly you're going to see a most beautiful clip that Ted has actually been here when this great event has taken place. But with the years and research that has gone into it, the Ogham itself pointing to the astronomical event. And then by understanding the Ogham in that translation, to actually know the approximate time and catch the astronomical event as it happened. It's one of those sites that is really warming because you have that double proof. Certainly it is rewarding. I'm standing here, or sitting here, by the circle in which Ted will have his camera on that great day that you're going to witness in a little bit. There is so much to this site, so much that has been here, and I'm going to allow Ted at this time, or ask him to, if he will, to explain some of the Ogham that is here. Enjoy this site, and enjoy the great eclipse that Ted and his crew have caught here at this particular site.
This site is called the Sun Temple, and it has an amphitheater here, which would be wonderful for viewing or worshiping. And the reason for this is that on the cross-quarter day, presumably in the latter part of the first week of August each year, there is a solar alignment here. Now, this solar alignment is explained in Ogham writing, which has been fairly conclusively affirmed, and this part of the solar writing says the circle, or the sun circle, and it jumps over to this tree Ogham and starts up this way and over, and says in effect the sun circle by the way of the shoulder, which is a outcrop of the rock, and the sun and the horizon make an alignment. This occurs at sunrise on approximately August the 6th, 7th, or 8th, and also on May the 6th, 7th, or 8th. But other writings here indicate the alignment was first used for the latter date. And my pronunciation may not be perfect, but that is the Celtic early harvest celebration of Lucena. The other date is called Beltane, and I'm about ready to get down off of this perch. Then we'll go on with this. This inscription is a double-purpose inscription. It says Lucenad. I said the D, that should be silent, Lucena. It shows two large crosses, which are definite, and a series of small crosses. This represents a planetary conjunction that occurs from time to time on schedule throughout history. The two large crosses are stars. The plus marks, the small ones, are the constellation Gemini in order. It's a pretty good little map, and has been dated at about 3,000 years ago. Also, the triogam that we showed you just previously has been dated the same. We did a double dating on this area. Can you get this little circle in the ceiling of the cave above? That says a little later Ogam, which says Sol. It's a sun-like figure.
Now, up here to the left, there's a pointer.
Oh, yeah.
That pointer points right through the rock at where the sun will rise on that particular day.
All
It
right.
has just the right, I don't know how they arrived at that, but it does. And then the horizontal line, it says time and reaping. Reaping time, and this time that this site is lined for is the pre-harvest festival of the Celts. So reaping time fits.
This is a view of the entire place. We will end at the circle. This is the circle which the sun strikes. This is the notch in the bluff and the horizon underneath. And on the morning of 6th of August this year, the sun will rise in this notch. These alignments are not phenomena. They are regular occurrences which have been figured out by the astrologers that the Celts had with them. They were called astrologers because they had several duties, including that of astronomy. We'll wait just a minute now and see if the sun won't be here pretty quick. This is our alignment coming in right now. It is 6:05 a.m., August the 6th, 1988. This is something very few people ever get to see, and I hope it is copying very clearly. It isn't quite fully up yet, so we'll wait just a minute.
just got this in there.
And to show you some of the precarious places that some of this was done in, the sign Soul, as it was just shown in the sun, you see Charles, our pilot, laying on his back, and how little room, how just very little room, whoever made these drawings had to work to chisel. And these stones are not soft. They're not soft at all, and it takes a great deal of work. Charles is going to demonstrate, I think, here in a moment, as to how the chisel would have been sand, dust, rock in the face, and yet all these planets, the moons, and everything else. Some of the places we go to make these documentaries, I hope you appreciate them. It gets precarious at times, but how we love doing it. We thank Charles for the explanation.
We are now at a place called Hickland Springs along the Arkansas River, just on the south bank. This place has been visited over many, many centuries. And this particular panel has some very intriguing drawings on it. We think possibly it is family, like a family tree related thing. This one has a close resemblance to a North African letter at the top and the bottom with the line connecting them, and family count or something in the center indicated by the dots. This one again has the connecting line and the old type letters on both sides. This is a very intriguing panel. Here we have something similar to the old Q sign, but instead of having a line straight through, it has a line more like the water sign. Both sides have marks approaching them. All over the panel you will see series of dots as if they were keeping score on something, or maybe trying to write with the dots, but they are not real good examples of anything like the Tifinagh alphabet. Here we have something almost like some of the sunburst which we have in southeast Colorado that indicates alignments of the equinoxes or solstices. However, this place doesn't have enough indicators and geographical points to make this such a thing. Now, across here, this is about the center of it, is a line of marks which resemble letters which are found in ancient North African writings. Quite often in some of these ancient writings and languages, there will be a string of letters connected on a vertical line or staff, as in this. This is a good example of a letter, a circle on each end of a line. These arcs are both letters. Now this is almost repeated down toward the center of the panel, except it is inverted. And they did that quite often with their letters. they might make them with the arc down one time and the arc up the next time. Also, in a good many of these places, there is extensive use of the psi sign. And in this case, as in quite a few, the vertical line through it is extended quite a long way. This one, the stone has cracked and the line has moved over a little, but the sign is repeated at the bottom and it is doubled at the bottom. Quite a few places we have the doubles. Yeah. He is now focused on a very ancient boat. This is the stern, the center of the boat, and the figurehead. This type of boat has been found in most of the Atlantic seafaring world and across to this part of the world also. Now, we have some unique things at this site, and it is footprints apparently walking up the wall. If you will count, there are 6 toes on some of them. These little wavy lines were pecked with a tool of some kind held in one hand and a stone or something hit, much as you would use a cold chisel or a punch today. Now he's going to get a good shot of these. There's some more up here. These are letters. This possibly represents the creek here, but we have developed a method to enhance these and make them show up really, really good in a photograph. It's a fairly simple method, and we don't tell anyone what all we use in it, so that too many people don't try this and maybe make a mess and couldn't clean it up. We do, when we get through, spray it with plain water, wash it all away, and don't leave any evidence that we've been here.
He's not ready and my cheek's not ready. Okay, that's good.
I will begin by saying, to the best of my ability, I will just trace the marks which are here. I'm not an artist, and we don't want an artist's view. We want an enhanced view of what is here. And this is pretty simple. About anybody could do it. But the formula we use is quite simple, and we try to keep it secret. I've done about all the enhancing here that is easy to prove There is a little bit in this area, but it's withered away very badly. And we're not trying to put anything here that isn't here. We're just making it show up better so that we can photograph it. Now, when we wash this off, we have run tests on it and find absolutely no residue of any sort left, so we are not damaging the marks and grooves.
Yeah, I got them all.
This is usually.
Smile, Pam.
Here's Pamela.
Pam's going to show us here how that after the application and the pictures are made, how we make it fresh as it was when we arrived on the spot.
Yeah.
It does take a certain amount of talent to
Thank you.
to see that all remains are washed away. Pam does hold a PhD at removing the solution from the artifact.
So you have to go over it sometimes again.
It does a fantastic job, doesn't it?
It really works.
I would hate to have to guess what you all have in the can. I know it's not what I thought it was.
Here is a very fascinating rock. I found a stone. I found it extremely fascinating because there was an old deteriorated sheep fence where you're actually in a sheep cote here from years, many years gone by. But do you understand what you're looking at? And I would say at the same time, before I go into that definition, these letters have been highlighted by the method that we gave you a very short showing on in a prior clip. Do not, I repeat, if you are not experienced and licensed, do not attempt to ever highlight stone drawings. For example, if you use chalk, the chemical reaction ruins any chances of ever getting a date with the newer methods of dating. And if you think that aluminum paint would help, forget it. You destroy the work itself. Only experts should do the highlighting, as you see it highlighted here, or as we did here by video alone, where you overlay simply one picture over another. But what you have here, and I certainly don't want to take away from the importance, remember the Egyptian face that we saw in earlier moments of this documentary. Here you have North Arabian letters, right from their alphabet. Now, there is one thing that I can say about this group here in southeastern Colorado. They are using probably the most scientific method. By that I mean cataloging every find and searching out every draw, every river, every waterway at the head of the Arkansas and recording each of these finds. They also take that they find and research it. They have extended as far away as Saudi Arabia to university there and have scholars in the Arabic language, and they declare, yes, this is of our alphabet, not only of Saudi Arabia, but Lebanon and many other universities to read these messages. So, as they continue to try there in Saudi Arabia to interpret, it becomes obvious to this layperson of archaeology and that certainly it is the Arabic language, alphabet, let me correct myself, but it is a different language. I have discovered in the many documentaries that we have made that this is not all that uncommon, that to use one alphabet. For example, you can write English today in Ogham, and this Arabic alphabet, it could even be in a language of some of the other people that traveled the area. Or, unfortunately, as you mix people, sometimes as between Old Mexico and America, you have what we call border Spanish. So this sort of thing. But the letters are absolutely undeniable Arabic, Northern Arabic, we might even say. So I compliment the group and their deep research that they are doing in this area. And I hope you can stop and think for a moment, go back 2,000-3,000 years and tell me, how did these people who are found here on the great, at the very edge, you might say, the jumping off place into the Great Plains, how did these Arabians travel all this way? They certainly didn't do it on Arabian horses, my friend, but traveled the waterways. But what was their business here? I feel that it has been to man's wonderment, the traveling of this great earth that our Father has created, that he has migrated, explored, and how fascinating it is that people back to 3,000 years ago were not afraid to travel. And I'm not saying that's the age of these particular letters. I'm not sure what the age of them are, but they are quite old. But that people even 2,000 to 3,000 years ago, they were not afraid to travel. They were not afraid that the earth was flat. With the very small ships that they had, that they would reach out to shake hands with other lands, searching the great finds and treasures of the world, gold, silver. And of course we know that King Solomon himself, even now possibly, took some gold from even South Americas, the Americas in Chile, and around the world.
Up here is a figure that some people say is one version of the tree of life, as celebrated by very ancient people. And I saw it a moment ago, and there's another foot, right here. These feet are climbers. They all point upward. Can you reach that across there, Mike?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
They're
Come on up there.
yeah,
Keep talking.
right behind Reverend Murray was this inverted rainbow. We find lots of rainbows with several arcs, but they're very seldom inverted like this one. A variation of the Phi sign, only showing half of it. Maybe only part of that tribe was here, if indeed that represented a tribe. This is a pretty unique one. We found the dots several places, but this is the first one we found that are separated by vertical lines. Just about anything you want, you can find at this location.
I'm not trying to rush
This figure is almost definitely Celtic, because it is the female figure in the birthing position, and it is in very much probability Sha Na Na, or She Na Na, however you want to pronounce it. If you'll notice, all the features are regular except the head, and the head is very small, which is a Celtic way of making figures. This is a very good example of Ogham consanguine used by the Celts when they were in this country, which we think was about 500 AD. This particular line of writing was translated as a verse or prayer by one of the most foremost epigraphers in the United States, probably in the world. This is a continuation of the bluff we were at just a few minutes ago, and this huge cave that we can see now points directly west. It's quite a significant cave because it's the only place in this area where 3 languages are together. And I'll quite a ways off, but I'd like to show you this if I can. Well, it doesn't show up very well. It's right at the top of this little tree. We'll climb into the cave and I'll get as close as I can. I think I can get a good picture of it. We are in the shade because this is morning and the bluff is high here. We are now in the lower floor of the cave. Incidentally, this cave is called Sun Cave because in the afternoon the sun comes in here beautifully. Sun Cave also looks directly across about an 80-acre park to Crack Cave. This that we're seeing now is called a trilingual inscription. In the upper left-hand part of the screen, you will see inscription that looks like a little square box with a half box or stool beneath it. The alphabet and language is Nubian, which is North African. The country as Nubia is not known now. Right to the right of it are the letters P-I-K. And at first glance you might think it is just graffiti, but it is ancient Norse. They made their letters a little bit different than we do. And the P, instead of having a rounded loop on it, is made more like a triangle. And the word is Payaka. Both of these words mean watching, awake, watchful. Now, right beneath, you will see something that looks like maybe a bird. But if you will stop and think a minute, it is eye-shaped. And what would have been the legs of the bird are tear ducts. This is called the all-seeing eye of Egypt. And a good many countries in the Mediterranean area use this to mean watching, awake, all-seeing eye of Egypt. I've climbed up another step in the cave, and the all-seeing eye of Egypt is repeated with the Nubian letters for awake or watchful inside the eye. The Norse letters were not repeated at this place. However, we'll try to sweep off the floor and show you some more Norse and explain them to you too. The two little circles look about like walnuts, or about that size, and they are the Norse signs for thunderbolts. Right to the right of them are 3 letters, and these are Norse letters. It is the name of the god of thunder for the Norse.
And beloved, that concludes this our documentary here in southeastern Colorado. What a day it has been, and what an evening, and how the hospitality was extended by even the crew that worked so hard and diligently throughout this day to bring you this 1-hour documentary from the most spectacular writings on the stones here in southeastern Colorado. You know what? It's only the first installment. We're going to be doing another one. That is, if I can get them to help me. What do you think? We're going to do another one?
Sure.
All right. So, yes, where's Kathy? Did I hear Kathy say yes? Come here, Katie. Will you help me do another one, Katie? All right. So we will be doing a series. It's fantastic. The Writings on the Stone, beloved, southeastern Colorado, and you were there.